Welcome to Toastmasters Bay to Bay, where we feature speakers from San Francisco to Monterey. My name is Birgit, and I will be your host. This is actually our first high-definition episode of Toastmasters Bay to Bay, so we're really excited to bring this to you. Now, Toastmasters is an international organization that helps its members develop its communication and leadership skills. And if you think about it, communication and leadership are very much entwined. Imagine being a leader in your organization, in your department, on a team, either inside or outside of work. A leader needs to be able to communicate his or her vision, as well as communicate how the team is going to get there. So as much practice as a leader can get in being able to really hone that message is going to be very helpful for the success of the team and the organization. Now, with Toastmasters, it's really what we call a learning lab. What better place to experiment what kind of style works for you in terms of either leadership styles or communication styles? For example, you might be a motivational speaker. You might be a humorous speaker. You might be a technical speaker. What better place to figure out what your style is and how to make the best of your style? So with the weekly meetings the Toastmasters clubs have, that really allows members to practice on a regular basis. Now today, we are going to see a slice of a Toastmasters meeting. We're going to see a speaker, followed by an evaluator that's going to explain to the speaker what he or she did well and where there could be some points for improvement. Our speaker today is a very advanced speaker, Svetlana Danilova, and she's going to be speaking from the Entertaining Speaker Manual. The title of her speech is Build a Door. Please help me welcome Svetlana Danilova, Build a Door.
Alta della Seta, the Union of Silk Merchants, wanted to build 8 doors to baptistry in Florence, in Italy. They wanted to select the best artists to do the job. They held the contest in the beginning of 1401. Filippo Brunelleschi, the youngest, very talented, and very well-trained artist, wanted to win. He wanted to get some publicity to working on the very scalable project and very well-paid project. He was prolific. He was working like crazy, days and nights on the sketches for the contest. And let me tell you, every single element of his design was simply divine. Filippo truly believed that God himself wanted to talk to the audience, to the people, through the beauty of his, Filippo's art. But his friend and competitor, Lorenzo Ghiberti, won the contest. All 8 doors were closed for Filippo, and his dream to become rich and famous was ruined completely. Fellow Toastmasters, doesn't sound familiar? You've been working so hard on your contest speech. The script was awesome, the delivery was great, but somebody else was selected as a winner. I bet it does. What Filippo did, he went to Rome to study ancient architecture. He was inspired by Pantheon, and he spent 2 years trying to figure it out how to build the dome on the top of Pantheon. Nobody knew how it was built by ancient architects and engineers. To be honest, it's still a mystery today. 2 years later, he came back to Florence again to compete. Majority of the people would like to avoid any opportunity to do the same thing again. They would rather go to the dentist than to repeat one more time because they're afraid to fail. But Filippo didn't, and he won the contest to build a dome on the top of the largest cathedral in Europe of that time, named Duomo. Duomo was under construction for 150 years. Even in the Soviet Union, the buildings were completed a few times faster. 150 years. Could you imagine how many generations of architects and builders contributed to this project? And the project was gigantic, simply gigantic. It was 144 feet tall. It was 240 feet wide. It was medieval skyscraper. Could you imagine what the size of the dome should fit that size of the cathedral? It was humongous, and nobody knew how to do that. The design Philippa come up with was really simple and elegant. Instead, one dome, he built two supportive domes with the staircase in between. And that construction didn't require scaffoldings, which is the hazard by itself. In addition to that, the launches were delivered to the top of the construction. And the workers don't need to go up and down. And that's the reason, that's the only reason why the whole project was completed in 14 years. And nobody, literally nobody, was injured. After the success with Duomo, Philippa Brunelleschi was commissioned by Medici family, by Holy Roman Emperor, by Pope, but by many others. And many landmarks in Italy were built based on his design, even after his death in 1446. 8 closed doors allowed Philippa Brunelleschi to travel, to learn, to get inspired, to build a Duomo, and many, many things, other things as well. And 600 years after, we call him the most inventive and most prolific artist of all times. The same 8 open doors kept Lorenzo Ghiberti completely occupied. He spent 56 years, all his life, working on that project and did nothing else. Last October, I was in Florence, standing on the plaza between small baptistry and the gigantic cathedral, looking at the beautifully crafted doors and the elegant dome. And I was thinking about closed and open doors of my life. Let's take a moment and think about yours, opened and closed doors. Maybe you lost a job but found something else, much better. Maybe you have to break up your relationship with your significant one, but later on you find somebody who made you feel complete. Maybe you had troubles with the public speaking and you joined the Toastmasters. Don't you agree that every single closed door led you to another one you were able to open? And if your answer is yes, please continue doing that. And if by some reason you got stuck or you couldn't find a way out, please remember what Mr. Television, Mr. Pearl, said in 1960s. If the opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Svetlana. That's a very inspirational speech. Now, how long have you been a Toastmaster?
I joined Toastmasters in 2009, so it's about 5-6 years.
Fantastic. And which clubs are you a member of?
I'm a member of Evening Stars. That's the club where I got my inspiration. And also, I am a member of Stagecoach Speakers Frontier Club. That's the club with my employer, Wells Fargo. And that's the club where I applied all knowledge I gained at the Evening Stars.
Well, we're both Evening Stars members, actually, so I knew the answer to that. Now, is there a situation in your own life that gave you the inspiration for this speech?
I think there are lots of questions and a lot of history we have to learn from. And I remember I was really scared to move to the United States, but I'm really happy that I did it. I was not sure, should I join the Toastmasters, but I'm glad I did.
Fantastic. You built a door.
I built the door.
Thank you, Svetlana.
Thank you.
Well, now we're going to hear from Svetlana's evaluator. Please help me welcome Sharon Corgile.
Svetlana, thank you for a lovely speech. It was beautiful. Your goal was to entertain us. At the same time, you wanted to inform us and to motivate us, inspire us, and I think you succeeded in all those areas. So well done. I love the fact that you picked something that if we were to travel someplace, we could actually see. And if we do go to Venice, as you encouraged us, or even all parts of Italy, I think, we would be able to see some of these edifices and think, I know a little bit about that beyond the guidebook, because Toastmasters brought me a little closer and put me in touch with history. So I think that was a lovely thing to do. You had a lot of enthusiasm and passion, especially in the middle, as you got into the speech and into the story. I love the way you described the humor when you described the second contest, that they would rather go to the dentist than enter the second contest. So that kind of gave us a picture of how intense the contest was, how intense competition, that's the word I'm thinking, competition was, and how if you don't try, they have the same opportunity as the others, but they chose not to. But here we have the second contestant who appeared to be the loser of the contest. And then you made such a beautiful point at the end that he became known far and wide throughout history as prolific, inventive, creative, at the top of his game. And yet the person who won, who seemed to have gotten the golden apple, you said he spent 56 years on one project. And then you brought it all home to us today and helped us to apply it to our lives. So we just look for that, apparently that golden apple, and end up stuck, or do we take the second and then expand our doors to everything? I think your expression was good, your emotion was good. Just a few times it was a little difficult to understand the names of the artists. And one thing I would have liked to have, maybe just one picture of each of their major achievements would have been really nice to add to the presentation. So I think those two things would have helped us a little bit more. Again, your gestures were good, your voice was good, you moved to the stage, you paid attention to everyone, you included humor and facts without boring us with either one, which is we always appreciate that information without the dryness. So once again, it was a lovely speech, it was very heartfelt. I could feel your passion and your desire for us to learn and to share the enlightening experience that you had when you found out the truth behind those buildings. So thank you once again. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sharon. Now we have over 250 clubs in District 4, and again, District 4 runs from San Francisco all the way down to Monterey. We visited with a club called Promasters. As I mentioned, every club has a little bit of a personality, so let's see what the personality of Promasters is.
My club is a morning meeting club. We meet once a week, every week. We start at 7:30, we end at 8:30. We meet at a cafe called Mimi's. We meet in the back room. They're very, very gracious to let us have the back room. And we also have a dedicated wait person. Nancy has been our wait person since the inception of the club. She's wonderful. She knows us all. She'll order your meal as soon as she sees you walk in. We actually have made her an honorary member, so we pay for her membership for Nancy to be a club member.
If your speech is engaging enough, they put down their fork and they listen. We definitely have a very friendly club. We all get along, we enjoy each other's company, which is part of the charm of this club. And it's not just about the speaking, it's about the leadership and getting to know people, networking for people who in this tough economic time may not have employment. Getting involved in Toastmasters gives you connections with people that do all sorts of things.
We're very high energy, we're very supportive, we're very fun, and we're very humorous. I, for one, look forward to Thursday mornings, whether I have a role or not, because it's just so much fun. We all care about each other in a way. It's kind of like coming to a party or a family reunion. It's really fun.
Our club is very encouraging, and they encourage the new members to definitely take on the speeches quickly. It generates interest and enthusiasm. And each additional speech that you give bring on additional dimensions. So by the time you finish 10, I believe, they try to make you a very well-rounded speaker, but also various dimensions of public speech, such as how do you evaluate a speaker, how do you listen, how do you do impromptu speech. At the same time, you also build network and connect with like-minded people who are interested in improving themselves and make each of us a better person.
I'll be a Toastmaster for life. And why? I believe we can always improve our skills. There are several areas in my public speaking that I still think I can improve.
We sometimes are spilling out of our facility because we have so many people. People will show up, they'll come visit, and they'll join.
It's fantastic. I highly recommend it to anyone.
I love Toastmasters. I use the skill set every day in my public life as well as in my private life, and I encourage anybody who has an interest in public speaking or fear of public speaking, come check out a club, join Toastmasters.
Welcome back. Now we're going to hear from a Toastmaster and her journey and why she enjoys Toastmasters and how it helps her in her professional life. Hello, Oksana. How are you?
Hi, Birgit. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Now, we just saw a little segment about Promasters, and you were a member of Promasters?
It's a great club, but I am not a member anymore. And not because of anything, but I have changed jobs about a year ago. And Promasters is a wonderful club, and it's a breakfast club. And the beauty of the breakfast club, it begins and ends on time. People don't have time to socialize, so it's a very well-run club. And you get to eat breakfast because it's at the cafe in Foster City. But I started a new job about a year ago, and my day starts so early because I work with Europe and East Coast and sometimes Asia. So by 7:30, I'm usually on the phone, if not in the office. So I found a new club, and it's San Mateo Storytellers Club. I joined it just recently. I just couldn't do without being a member of the Toastmasters Club. It's an advanced club, and they really encourage you to tell your speeches, to tell presentations in a story manner with the composition of a story, and it really helps me in my profession as well because I work in marketing.
That sounds really interesting.
It is.
Storytelling club. That's going to help anywhere.
Yeah, and they don't have table topics, they have tail topics.
Oh, that's great.
They do things a little different.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with Evening Stars as an advanced club, we do things a little bit differently as well.
Oh.
So now tell me, what initially motivated you to join Toastmasters?
Well, I moved to the Bay Area about 9 years ago, and I was looking for a job. I was looking for new activity and new circle of friends and professional acquaintances, and somebody recommended, a friend of mine recommended to check out the club that she was very passionate and enthusiastic about, and that's how I came to Promasters. I didn't shop around. I came at the first meeting, and it was love at first sight, and I stayed with them for almost 6 years, and now I can't really imagine not doing it.
So what keeps you coming back to Toastmasters? You mentioned that you couldn't do without, and that's why you found a new club. What keeps you coming back?
You know, Toastmasters is unique because it helps you work on so many. First of all, there's no limit for perfecting your skills as a speaker or as a leader. What I found out really most motivating to me is to watch other people to progress. I've seen people that come to the first meeting, and I have a a story about one of the Promasters member. I don't know if I can say his name, but his name is Dave. When he came to a first meeting, he would get up and go to the bathroom by the time table topics come in. He was so nervous and so unsure of himself. And by the time he delivered his 10th project from the Competent Communication Manual, I think he had us all in tears, because he described his journey from a very uncertain of himself and very uncertain speaker to a very actually competent, funny, and witty speaker. And then he went on to compete at the division, at the area level. So to see this transformation is really impactful. It keeps me coming back for more.
That's a fascinating story. And for those of you who are not familiar with Toastmasters, table topics is that part of the meeting where a member has to answer a question spontaneously for 1 to 2 minutes, and they don't know what that question is going to be. So it's a great way to train impromptu speaking, and that's a very creative way of getting out of it, going to the bathroom.
I've seen people that specifically sign up for every role at every meeting so they don't get called up. They do anything but to get presented tabletop.
And that's actually the reason I joined, is to get better at impromptu speaking.
It's tough.
So it is. It is.
And I don't know if you found it the same as I did. It doesn't get any easier with time. It actually gets progressively harder.
Actually, I'm finding it easier.
Easier? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And partially because of work, because at work I'm very used to giving prepared presentations with PowerPoints, but it's always that Q&A, and it's really to drill those skills in question and answer periods at the end that table topics was really able to help me.
That's a very good point. I do a lot of presentations at work as well, and there's always a Q&A at the end. And I have to, as you know, you in marketing, you have to do little sit questions, right, to get the ball rolling. And those you know how to answer, but then there's sometimes always something that puts you on the spot. The Toastmaster skills are very, very helpful.
Exactly. Now, at the beginning of the show, I talked about the different Toastmasters tracks, so leadership, communication, and you also mentioned competition in your story about Dave in terms of competing in speech contests.
Yeah.
Which one of these tracks are you on, or is it multiple tracks? I mean, you don't have to choose just one.
Yeah, I change my mind all the time. I tried the competitive track, and I competed, but didn't get too far. But it's an incredible experience, because it just brings out the skills or the fears that you never thought you have. So I really enjoyed it, but I don't think I'll compete again for now. And I've tried the leadership track, and I've held officers' positions, and I've helped to organize conferences, Toastmasters conferences, and I really like the organization of going through the presentations, you know, with manuals, and how they really concentrate on the core skills that you need to develop for your presentation. So for now, I'm concentrating on my delivery skills.
Okay, fabulous. And then again, just to set a little bit of context, the Competent Communicator Manual is 10 projects, and each project focuses on a different skill.
Yeah.
So eye contact, gestures, for example, how to structure your story.
Yeah. And it really helps to, you know, when we're like, oh, you have to deliver a 6-minute presentation. It's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? What? So then you open the manual, and you're like, okay, here's your objectives, and they're usually 3 to 4, and they're very digestible, and they're very achievable, and they give you examples and resources for anybody who wants to really hone a core speaker skills. The first 10 presentations, I think they will change your life.
That makes sense. And then, of course, we have the advanced manual so that you can decide what track, maybe technical speaking, maybe speaking on video. Here we are, as an example. Now, you mentioned you're marketing, I'm in marketing. How has Toastmasters helped you in your job, and what do you do?
So I work for Nuance Communications, and if you're not familiar with what the company does, you for sure used one of our products, and we help people to communicate with technologies through speech, through virtual assistants, through text-to-speech. So I'm very fortunate. I have a very interesting product. It's a product that helps the technology recognize that you are who you are based on your voice. It's called Voice Biometrics, and I manage marketing for this product. So in my job, I mean, oh boy, I do presentations and I write collateral, and I basically tell my story or our product story pretty much 8 hours a day, however many hours.
Or more.
Or more, yeah. And I think as a marketer, I think that's what we do. We tell the story, and to be able to tell a story in a way that is educational or inspirational or interesting for your audience, no matter how dry or how technical your subject is, it's really a skill, and it's a muscle. It's something that you can get better as you train that muscle. So Toastmasters is helping me, and the preparation for the speeches that Toastmaster puts you through helps me to be really on top of my presentations and to be really develop my script in a way that's interesting for the audience. I have written communication, which is not exactly part of the Toastmasters, but the principle is the same. You know, you still tell a story in a way that's interesting. It helps me tremendously. Well, you might say, you know, you're in marketing, of course, right? Yes, you speak. But I think it doesn't really matter what you do in life. You still have to tell your story, convince someone, inspire someone, or educate someone. And it really doesn't matter what you do. You can utilize your skills. Your Toastmaster develops skills anywhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that storytelling is very on point, because especially with the technology product, I also market technology.
Yeah.
I like to say my job is to make finance interesting.
How do you do that?
Through storytelling. Through storytelling.
I'm kidding.
Well, and I think it's all not about the bits and bytes, but really to put that human factor and how technology helps somebody. And I found that that's really helped me in terms of storytelling.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example. My products, you know, part of the value proposition, it's the marketing term, is it's a security product. It helps to prevent access or fraudster access to your accounts, because nobody can really sound like you are or have the same voice.
Unless they're a ventriloquist.
No, they can't. Ventriloquist.
Thank you so much. It's been fascinating to really see how Toastmasters can translate into the real world, as we like to call it in college, the real world. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you visit us again here on Beta Bay.